SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Engineering, Medical and Health Sciences, Management, Dental, Science and Humanities, Law, Agriculture Sciences, Hotel Management. Admissions open.
Welcome to the afternoon session of the IGBC SRM inauguration session with the orientation batch. In the morning, we had a wonderful technical session by Mr. Girish, it was about retrofitting the existing buildings. Now we have architect Sri Rekha ma'am, who will be presenting on the IGBC Green Education. Architect Sri Rekha holds a bachelor's degree in the architecture from CSI Institute of Technology, Hyderabad. Presently, she is involved with the green building tech activities of CIA Godrej GBC. She is in charge of IGBC Green Schools, Healthcare and Landscape Rating System certification activities and leads the team with engineers. She is involved in the development of various green building rating systems and certification. Also, she is handling green education activities of IGBC. Rekha is a IGBC aggregated professional, trained green building faculty and an assessor. She has been associated with CIA IGBC since 2008. We welcome you, ma'am. You can start your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that brief introduction and also opportunity for us to present here. Of course, I've been informed that from yesterday, there have been series of information on it has been given on the green building. So, hope my screen is clear, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's clear.
Thank you. From yesterday, you heard about from Mr. Anand, Mr. Raghavendran, and also today I learned about, you have heard about Mr. Girish also, about the green building concepts, and you all are now pretty clear on what about the green buildings. So today I'm just going to emphasize more because you already have gone through the concepts. So few of the case studies I have taken in terms of the various projects, because as you have seen, we have more than 27 rating systems cutting across various building sectors and typologies. So I have picked few the case studies as well. Of course, I'll be covering the green education, which is one of the core subject for today's presentation. And as well as I would like to throw few case studies which will be helpful to understand how various projects have implemented the green building concepts. Of course, yeah, the morning as Mr. Girish has taken about the green, about the existing projects or how the retrofitting can be done. So just to throw more light on it, this is one of the very prestigious existing building. In fact, it's a historical building from Mumbai, which has converted into green. So we take always pride in showing this building because it has its own constraints. See, generally when we think about retrofitting the buildings, we may feel that there are constraints. I can't do much about my structure and all. And especially this building being the heritage building, they have so much of restriction on the structure is because it's a historic building and architecturally proven. In spite of that, they have overcome the challenges, and you can see how they have got into a green building uh, features. Initially, when they started this building, they have aimed for gold rating. So they have converted into gold rating, but later again, they have implemented more and more benefits, and it has been further upgraded to platinum rated building. Just to brief a small about the building features, it's in a four-storied building with a roof penthouse office building, and it's under heritage grade 2 A has been given for this building. This comes under that category, and it's about area about the 10,000 square meters. Coming to the energy performance index, how this building without any disturbance to their building envelope, how they have come to the energy performance. And when they started in 2010, their energy performance index of the building was 192 kilowatt hour. So since they had, the management had in mind that they should definitely convert into green, so they have implemented phase wise different green measures, and they have come down of 192 to they've come down to 90 kilowatt hour. Initially they have, in 2011 they have installed efficient HVAC systems with high COP 6.3, where it was somewhere between the four, the existing condition. They have gone for the high COP chillers, and their EPA has come down. Later, in 2012, they have implemented completely retrofitting their lights into LED lighting. And then later, they have applied about all star rated appliances. Star rated is nothing but the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, BE star rated appliances. It is given by the Ministry of Power, where again the EPA has come down. And finally, you can see at the by installing the BMS system, which is an automatic management system, which can have overall control on whatever the equipment they have installed. They can monitor it better and maintain it better. Finally, they have come down to 90 kilowatt. So from 192 to 90 kilowatt, only in terms of energy performance, you can see how much drastic change they have got into. So this is just as a graphical representation how this building has implemented the green measures. So you can see that starting from, they have implemented they have changed their water fixtures. So they gone into water savings. They have implemented VFDs and BMS system which can reduce their energy consumption. High efficient chillers have come down, and also the star rated appliances have been taken in terms of pumps and whatever their computers have been upgraded to the energy star rated, and they've gone for the efficient heating and cooling system. Lightings have been replaced to LEDs, and even the rainwater harvesting. It's not just up to the energy conservation measures, even in terms of water. So they have considered the rainwater harvesting measures by implementing the collection pits and the also as well as the population pits. They have collected the rainwater, and also the alternative sources of energy in form of solar PV systems and the solar geysers they have installed in this building, and they have reaped the benefits out of it. If you see in terms of the energy savings as in numbers, you can see how much energy savings they have got, and also the reduction in carbon emissions. So finally, see whatever the concepts we have you have been exposed from yesterday to today, we have to see whether it's implemented or not, and the projects were able to reap the benefits. So here is the case study where it is clearly showing you that by implementing in the existing building whatever the efficient measures they can get into, for all the factors they were able to get energy savings in every factor. So annually, they were able to reduce the energy savings by 5,17,000 kilowatt hours. So this makes a huge difference. And definitely when there is energy consumption reduction, whatever the carbon emissions are getting into the environment because of this energy usage or production of that power has been come down. So 297 tons of CO2 emissions has come down annually. It's every year they're going to reap these benefits. So that's how buildings are able to see. And another project in terms of existing building, Godrej Bhavan, this is also in Mumbai, where they tried to have the major retrofits carried out by having the water cool chillers with the high COP value. They had building management systems installed so that they can manage all the equipment in the building, so that they're integrated well and managed well. And they've gone for the efficient double glazed glass also, which reduced heat coming inside. And retrofits they also did in terms of the roof, where they have converted their roof completely into green. They have upgraded their electrical systems to the efficient systems, and also the lighting systems have been upgraded. So you can see this simulated file you might have observed in yesterday presentation by Mr. Anand also. So where you can see that how the heat islands have been reduced on the green roof when you compare to the paved areas. So this simulated file is clearly showing of this building how the heat ingression from the roof has been reduced by installing the green roof. And in terms of cost benefit analysis of this building, So they have drastically reduced their energy consumptions by about 5 lakh 384 lakh. They are the cost they were able to reduce for in terms of the energy retrofitting area. And you can see how over the years the cost versus the consumption has come down in this building. In terms of the factory building, if you take, okay, we have seen the commercial buildings in terms of existing. Of course, I didn't take new building because we all, as you have gone through the concepts of the green building features, whatever in the new buildings, it will be easier for all to implement this building, these green features, and they can reap the benefits. So that's the reason we have showcased about some existing building. Now coming to the factory building, about the industrial building. So because even the factories, whoever the occupants are being there, the labor or the employees who are part of the factory building, they're getting exposed to a lot of emissions from the factory and they get a lot of stress as well. So in the factory also, we are trying to address the green building guidelines so that the occupational health of the occupants is increased. Daylighting is taken care so that because artificial lighting will have impact, and they should also reduce their energy consumption from lighting, and improving the indoors by better ventilation standards, and also at the same time reducing the resource efficiency. When we provide all comfort conditions, definitely as indicated earlier, it going to enhance the productivity. So one of the factory building, Hero Motocorp, which has been platinum rated by IGBC, I'm going to show, where you can see they have taken the daylight pattern. So all the skylights on the terrace and windows are oriented along the sun path analysis. So they have done the proper analysis, the latitude and the sun path analysis of this location. And they tried to capture maximum daylight. 90% of these spaces have been provided with the daylighting and natural ventilation instead of the artificial lighting. On the rooftop, they have developed local vegetated local vegetation where they had the organic gardening, and whatever the food is generated from this organic gardening, they are using within their canteen facility. And this also helped them to reduce the heat island effect on the roof. You can see here again the heat island effect even on the roof, and the non-roof area is also covered. The 100% of the parking, whichever is provided in this campus, has been provided with the roof so that there is no heat island effect created. And inside the building, they have developed bio walls. So the green walls, because as we know, beyond the ground surfaces on the vegetation, how beneficial it is giving us to in terms of the aesthetics, in improving the microclimate temperature, we have seen in terms of attracting habitat as well as in a concept for the greenery. So when you take the greenery inside, there is an additional benefits they are going to give, because whatever the emissions are coming within inside the building, and also because of the interior elements, whatever the chemicals has been during manufacturing process, or even the wooden products, the paints or adhesives, what have been used, these formaldehydes can be absorbed by the soil present in this vertical garden as well as the plants. And also these green walls act as a noise barriers. So they will also reduce the noise pollution which is created inside or outside from when it comes outside the building. So they have used these bio walls, and also another advantage, these bio walls, they will absorb the heat generation, whatever is coming inside the building. Of course, it's a minimal, but at the same time, it will reduce the heat loads and as well as the consumption by the air conditioners. They have installed the solar panels over their roof. So they have about 1.5 megawatts of electricity they are generating through this solar panels. Again, they have been oriented on the south facing so that they can capture maximum solar radiation and convert into the power. Coming to residential sector, because we have varied sector, and it's always, see, we all stay in homes, and we try to see how we can convert our homes also being going green. So now we'll go through one case study in terms of the homes. This is one of the community in Hyderabad. It's called Nandi Urban Homes, where it's in a beautiful community within the located in the urban city, and it had implemented many green features. They have a clubhouse which has used one of the largest in bamboo structure in the country. They're completely, the clubhouse has been constructed by the bamboo structure. So earlier, maybe yesterday, when they have highlighted about the sustainable materials, we are encouraging more bamboo products because they are rapidly renewable. So if you take 1.5 decade before or 2 decades before, bamboo structures, they used to limit only the small kind of an hut structures, or small farmhouses used to be getting constructed with bamboo. But nowadays, with lot of new innovations and the treatment happening for this bamboo wood, so they were able to construct the largest clubhouse, the bamboo structure, and this rapidly renewable material has been used. And to cover the heat islands, so they at the various paved surfaces and the seating areas in their garden areas, they have created this pergolas with the vegetation. So both the heat island is reduced, and you also have more vegetation which will maintain your microclimate temperature in your the farm, this community. These homes in this community have gone for the energy efficiency by even having the air conditioning. So their air conditioning systems, they have used earth tunnel air conditioning. So yesterday you have seen that there are the passive way of systems, how we can reduce the energy consumption. So this project has implemented this earth tunnel air conditioning systems. So where you can see the pipes are getting run underneath each house. So by design itself, they have constructed like that. So from the earth tunnel, the cooled air is being taken to the homes, and they're pre-cooled. And as the building is pre-cooled, the air conditioning loads gets reduced in this building. And also they have installed solar panels about 989 megawatt hour. So and generating about 1200 megawatt hour solar power generation, which they use for the all the community facilities in the within the campus. And they've also created the organic garden in each individual houses. So they are more healthier, people can just plug their vegetables and they can use. And wherever they used this organic gardening, they have used the salvaged material, salvaged wooden crates, where they have got it and they have repaired accordingly, they're refurbished and using this organic gardening area. This is some more picture where they have used a vegetable garden in this individual houses, where they can get all their vegetables within the campus. And not only vegetables, in fact, this community has developed animal husbandry within the community. So even the milk products are have been getting within the community, and it has been sustainable way and also organic way. They don't have worry that it's some chemicals are mixed in the milk, whatever, or the milk products they're getting. So that also has been tried in this building. And they have biopond, which is one kind of a phytoremediation. So they have this pond where they also added some more facilities in terms of the fish pedicure, the aqua plant growth, and also the water supply for irrigation through this bio plant. So whatever the wastewater is coming from they have one common dining facility within the campus. So someone wants to, like, it's like more like a restaurant within the campus. So whatever the wastewater is generated, they are treating in this biopond, and they're reusing for their irrigation requirement. And also this biopond act as a rainwater harvesting collection pond. So all the rainwater around the common facilities is diverted towards here, and they have been using that water to not form the algae or the more aquatic weeds. They're having a complete aerator system. You can see the aerators are placed in this pond, so there is no that issue also faced in this biopond. So this is in fact, it's more up to you. It's like you have a bigger university, the campus, how even the campus have converted into green. I would like to show one case study about the campus. It's an about the campus rating in our IGBC rating systems is applicable for both new and existing campuses. So it's not just for the new developments, even the existing campuses can grow and can go green. And in the campus rating system, we address both the infrastructure facilities of the campus as well as the buildings also. So out of this, of course, universities like you can go green. There are also other campuses like IT parks, the industrial parks, and even the resorts or the convention centers can go under this rating system. And the key areas, what we have addressed under campus rating system include green cover. Obviously, yes, it is throughout all rating systems we encourage. What are the health and well-being facilities can campus provide so that you can improve the health and fitness of the occupants are addressed? Energy efficiency, renewable energy, water conservation, how to handle the waste, and how the transit itself also, because it's a big campuses and they need transit um, systems also to be there. So eco-friendly transit communities are addressed as part of the campus rating, as well as the even the buildings within the campus, how they can address the green building features has been addressed in campus rating. As part of the case study, this is ISB from Hyderabad. I have taken one of the big project we have under the campus rating system, where it's about they have the academic center in the center, and around this academic center they have the student villages with our which also represent some iconic towers in this campus. So in terms of the green facilities in the campus, they have provided the passive architecture. In all the buildings, they try to have the skylight so that they can capture maximum daylight to these buildings, and as well as reduce the artificial lighting dependence. They've used the natural topography. So whatever the existing topography was there, they try to retain them. So there is a ecological balance and they are not completely disturbing the habitat of the site. So they've maintained the natural topography of the site. And accordingly, they have designed their zones. They have wastewater treatment and they are completely reusing the wastewater for their irrigation requirements as well. They've used efficient plumbing fixtures so that they can reduce their energy consumption. They had, as I said, they had skylights and a lot of windows have been provided so that good daylighting is taken. Outdoor views are provided for the people so that they can de-stress themselves. And sustainable transportation facilities are provided within the campus, as well as making the organic waste management. So in terms of addressing the passive architecture, you can see how they have oriented their buildings. They have, first thing, they had maximum openings on north. So as we all know, north light is a good daylight, which is had a good VLT, the vision to the human eyes, as well as the less heat comes from the north direction. So they have taken maximum openings on the north side. And south and west side, so opposite side where we have lot of heat coming, they have created less openings and they have created buffer spaces so that the direct heat is not coming inside the building. So when I say the passive elements, they have added elements like lakes, the water bodies, so you can see the water bodies. So it's again a passive element. So when the air is passing through this water bodies or the trees which are there around these buildings on the south and west direction, it gets cooled because of this passiveness of the water and the vegetation which is there, and the cooled air is coming. It's not very cold air, but if you compare to the temperature, at least there will be 3 to 4 degrees of temperature reduction in the temperature. And also on the east side, they have exposed to have the maximum the windows and openings so that they can again get the good daylight. So this is a elevation where you can see they're capturing the maximum daylight in the academic center and the various regularly occupied spaces. The daylight has been taken. They have provided outdoor views. So when we say outdoor views, it's not just up to the building. They have good unobstructed views to the vegetated area, so that the occupants can de-stress themselves. And so these are the skylights they have provided. So you can see how the good lighting has been taken, daylighting has been taken through this skylights. So the total building footprint of this campus was about 8.64 acres, where the hardscape area is about 17 acres and the landscape area is also there. And you can see how out of this landscape area also, they try to minimize the turf area, because as we all know, turf area will take a lot of maintenance and the water as well. So the turf area is also covered, and they have used a lot of drought tolerant species so that there is less water consumption. So they have used different kind of vegetation, because um, they wanted to have varied type of species and try to reduce it. So these all the vegetation, they have tried to have different types of gardens also, because they can attract varied types of habitat rather than the just one kind of birds or butterflies into their garden. So varied type of typical the gardens, the rose garden or organic gardens, help them to improve their biodiversity attraction also. They have even in-house nursery to have more vegetation. So they had irrigation systems so that they can reduce water consumption, drip and sprinklers. And they have provided the shaded pathways, so heat islands are reduced. And they have used open grid pavers, so again heat island is addressed in terms of the pedestrian network also. So there is a lot of vegetated areas. And even the heat islands are addressed in terms of parking areas, where you can see they have been covered. So the even eco-friendly practices, so they have cycles arrangement, they have separate designated parking space for them. So bicycle stations are provided, and 31% of the occupants in this campus, they transit by shuttle services. So eco-friendly practices are considered. And even the rainwater harvesting, they have a huge storage pond with capacity of 12,500 kiloliters storage. And also they have drains and different ponds that they have created. So overall about 55,000 kiloliters of rainwater is collected in this campus, and they reuse for their irrigation requirements within the campus. So 100% one day of rainfall can be captured, because you can see when they have developed this harvesting zones also, they have created the stormwater drains depending upon the plains. The slope has been considered and the rainwater is collected. So wastewater treatment plant, they have about capacity of 500 KL, and they're treating and reusing for their cooling towers also. So they have various meters for the bore, building level and power backup systems, all the meters, so that they can regularly monitor. So waste is segregated properly, and the organic waste, they do the vermicomposting, and they have garbage chutes to collect the waste as well. So this has happened at the campus level. They have provided the basic amenities also within the campus, and the health and well-being facilities you can see. And also further improving the healthy healthcare facilities, they have about the first aid facilities and the security services, non-slippery ramps for addressing the differently able people for the designated toilets. And finally, even the green education activities are also have been taken by ISB. So they regularly do the awareness sessions within the campus. So they spread more and more awareness on the green buildings, sustainability features within the campus. So they organize various talks by the experts, and they do a lot of competitions within the campus. And they have tried to implement also a few of the measures within by the student research. So they were able to see what are the various benefits from the game buildings. And yeah, that's about a few case studies. And coming to the concept of the green education. So this is a demand we have got into market. As you all seen yesterday that how the green building movement has grown from 2001 to about 6,000 plus projects. And when we started, the green building was seen just as an image. Later, it has people have seen green buildings also makes business by giving the savings or in terms of energy and water. And further, it has become as a customer driven demand. So there was clear differentiation. People in the market were demanding the green buildings. As this movement increased, as the building sector has increased, and there was a major growth and requirement for the green building professionals also, because buildings are increasing, awareness is increasing, people are looking for more and more green building professionals. So with that vision, when we were working, IGBC has developed, because of this green building movement, they've got into new services, and also they have developed new consultants in the market. So the green building consultant has come to the market. Many of the engineers and architects, they have been trained as green building consultants, and they're able to facilitate as green building projects. There are the energy simulators available, which is a new area green buildings has got, commissioning agents. And also we have, IGBC has trained many professionals who can become intern trainers on the green buildings. And we have developed third party assessors who can certify, assess the projects and certify them. So that comes because of demand, the professionals have come. But it's not just restricted to the professionals. Even the academicians and the lot of universities were also looking for training for the students. So with that vision, IGBC has developed these green education services to have train more and more students in green built environment, and also to facilitate industry and academia linkage. So in this green education activities, whoever the students are participating, these are the benefits they get at. They get accreditation as IGBC accredited professional associate. They get exposure to various concepts in design, construction, and operation. See, yesterday and today you had overall briefing on what are the concepts addressed, but each topic itself has a lot of information to be shared, the knowledge, how to implement, or the various strategies. So in the certification courses, students will be getting more deeper knowledge on these concepts. And IGBC would also facilitate the site visits. Of course, due to pandemic, right now they are in health, but when it becomes normal, we will facilitate the visit to site visits to the green building projects. Students get a lot of exposure to new trends and technologies which are coming in the market. And also, when they become as a professionals, they need to know, if their clients want to get for certification, they need to know what are the rating systems which are applicable for what kind of a project. So they get also exposure to this IGBC rating systems. And finally, when they get accredited, when they get more knowledge, and CI being the industry association, and we have a lot of industry members as part of our organization. So we spread these awareness that these students have been already trained, and this IGBC AP associate becomes an additional USP to their qualification to get recruited in the industry. So as part of the course, this is a duration. So we have developed as in a curriculum course for the whole semester. So in the semester, they for 45 hours, we are running the course for the 15 hours, where the IGBC trained faculty will be training the students, and also we will be training the faculty. So the whoever the faculty from the college, the college management can nominate the faculty. We train the faculty as well. So since they are more available in the college and to the students, so they also can take, when we have trained this faculty, they can train the students. And also we facilitate conducting various webinars from the industry experts. And also additionally, we will be providing visit to projects, as I said, and to the they will become as a certified IGBC professionals. So these are the focus areas. As you have gone through the focus areas from yesterday, all the focus areas in terms of site, water management, energy, materials, and indoor or environmental quality, and all are addressed as part of this certification courses. And besides the benefits to the students, even at the institution and the faculty also, there are a lot of benefits. So we see in terms of in institution, they get more we facilitate them to more linkage with the industry, also the campus recruitments and whatever the researchers the industry would require, such kind of a linkage we can do. And institution, when institution take this as one of the core subject, and people consider this as one of the preferred destination for recruitments, because they are also trained in sustainability aspects. And of course we will be training the faculty of the institute, so that is also one of the thing. And in person to the faculty, they are also getting exposure to the lot of new trends and technologies. They will be also accredited as IGBC accredited faculty. So for faculty also, this will be a additional qualification. So this is the methodology we follow in the green education. The first, we tie up with the educational institute in form of MOU, mutual understanding. Then we train the trainers, the nominator faculty. Then the sessions are being taken by both the IGBC faculty, trained IGBC faculty, as well as the internal trained faculty, and the expert talks, and the finally the students at the end of the course, they take the exam and get accreditation. The way forward would be, when the if the college accepts to take the proposal, they can take the accept the proposal. They can nominate the staff who need to be trained. That's how the way forward, the further steps will be there as part of this certification course. And the students enroll for the course, and they get trained, and the commencement will be there. Besides the curriculum based services, as part of green education, we are doing various online courses as well, where the interested students can directly opt for this course on online program. So we are doing from past 4 months, we have been doing this. Every month we run this program. And this is a 25 hours online program, which is conducted in the evening, so that students will not get affected with their regular academic sessions. So for 10 days on the online platform, in the evenings, we run the course for 2 to 3 hours time. And we say that eligibility should be at least third year or the fourth year level engineering students, not at the very first or second year, because they need to have certain background level education done as part of their graduation. Post graduation, any year students can attend these courses, and in this part of this course also they get accreditation. And also another program we do online is getting into specific subjects. So we are doing online course even on energy simulation. So whoever are interested in specific to learn beyond the built environment, getting into deeper knowledge on energy simulation, this is also online course is done. And in next 15 days, we are going to have this program, and same students can enroll for it. So that's about my presentation. So I'll be about green education services and the few case studies I have shared to you. So I'd be happy to take any questions, and my email ID is indicated here. I'll happy to take any queries. Thank you. Thank you all for your presence and participation.
Thank you, ma'am, for such a knowledgeable, enriched session. We have one question. Always green buildings are take a backstage when the costing or the construction cost comes to paper with respect to the conventional building, when you compare conventional building and green building. And people look at the cost as one of the biggest thing. What is your feedback on that, and how to pursue the client to take up this green building on a much easier path?
Very good question, ma'am. In fact, this is very valid point. See, you all might be the students now, but you need to completely understand this question, because when you become as a professionals, and it's your responsibility to make your client understand it and implement it. Because every time you'll not get a clients who will be favorable to you. You will get different kind of clients. So on any concept, when you're trying to suggest them, first we should get convinced. So one of the challenge we face as part of the green buildings is obviously, yes, the cost. So because people feel, actually, in fact, this is a myth to say that it's they're costlier. People are seeing the glitch only for the initial investment. If I take a simple example like the split AC, the air conditioner, which we buy for our homes. Whenever we go to our electronic shops, we'll see a conventional split AC and we'll see the star rated appliances also. But there is a cost difference of 4 to 5,000 at least for this in between these of them. So by intuition, we try to buy the lesser coster one. But if you go for the star rated one, these are the energy efficient one. They consume less electricity. So you're going to reduce your electricity bills further. Don't worry about this initial cost of 4 to 5,000 which you are investing. If you see by monthly, when your electricity bill comes down, finally after that savings, you're going to get more benefited. First thing is, you should understand beneficially also, economically also, you're getting benefit. The cost is getting reduced, though there is initial investment. On a whole, you are becoming a responsible citizen where you're trying to go for choosing a better equipment which reduces the environment pollution and global warming in this case. So I've taken just a simple example, but this can be any kind of thing, even as part of the water fixtures. If you go for the efficient water fixture, or when you're using within your washrooms, if you have dual flush fixture, again, it's our human intuition. So this is how you can try to convince your client also. So by we try to see if we flush more water, we feel it's more healthier. You'll not feel any foul smell because of the in the washrooms. But see, you don't require so much of water to be flushed whenever the washroom is used. So if you just if there is a dual flush water closet, if you go for half flush, that is enough. It will take at least the 2 to 3 liters of water is flushed. That is enough to flush away the whatever the waste is there. You need not always put more and more water and wastage that water. So it's just, we have to inculcate in our culture by our uh, facts on whatever we do every day. So then definitely you will see that benefits. And when you see this benefit by yourself, you will be able to make your client also understand, yes sir, we are going to have some additional cost in starting, but overall this is how you're going to get payback. This is how we are doing good to our society and environment. That's how we need to convince our clients.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the interesting answer. We have one more question. It is like we have seen like the certification is related with industry or residential sector or a new buildings as such. Is there anything with respect to the urban spaces or open spaces are concerned, or a neighborhood development, something like that?
Yes. This is also, this is what where we are working forward these days more, because even as our vision is not just up to buildings, as we have indicated many times, we are working towards developing the sustainable built environment for all. So it's not restricted to building, we are going beyond the buildings. So that is the reason we have a varied rating systems, where we are also having exclusive rating system for the green cities, green villages, as well as the bigger campuses. So whenever such projects are coming, we are giving them the insights how at the infrastructure level, how at the city level they can grow, how they can convert into green. We try to help them in terms of the infrastructure facilities. Or if you go to village, even at the village we have green villages rating. Maybe sometimes people get wonder, what is there in village that you want to convert as a green? But you see, it's not just about the vegetation or some kind of structure, but in the vegetation, besides the vegetation, how properly the drains are connected, because there are a lot of open drainages in the villages which will have health issues. There is no proper connectivity of the water, the drinking water required in the villages. So all and also proper commuting practices from one village to other, the road infrastructures, all this through the our green building rating systems, we are trying to address even in the villages as well. So same thing in the cities also, how centralizedly in the village or a township, how you can do rainwater harvesting systems, how you can treat wastewater. Even the air conditioning systems also you can do for overall township. There is something, the new trend is coming as a district cooling, where from one location only completely the air conditioning is the ducts have been laid out within the campus underlay. If it's a new campus, they're going underground structures. So each of the building this can be taken and they're using the efficient systems. So at the building environment structures also we are going we are facilitating the projects can go green.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for such a wonderful answer, and I hope it was a wonderful tour which you have shown us with various sustainable practices in and around the country. I think students would have really liked it because it gave them a very broad idea or how to utilize the sustainability even in a very passive way. Because in the morning we had a very technological session, and now it is totally a contrasted one. So I hope students will be enlightened with that. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank
Over.
you.
Ma'am, I do have one question. This is
Sure,
Gajendran
please,
here, ma'am.
please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So, as of with the IGBC, the current procedures, we've been known that yes, we either get a pre-certified certificate before the construction, or probably once the construction gets done, we get an audit and we get a certification. And beyond the certification, are there been audits following up, ma'am? Because in the recent times, we have been hearing about the dynamic rating system which IGBC is planning to bring up, wherein the audits would be periodical. I think every once in every 2 years. I'm not sure of the period. So, what is it about, ma'am? What is it the current trend? Currently, what is happening, and what is that we can expect in the future, ma'am?
Yeah. So thank you, sir. Thank you for that question. In fact, this is also very important, sir, because when we started the movement, yes, we have been more focused on spreading awareness, and people should be aware. And when the awareness has come, as we have seen, the movement is increasing. The next challenge we face as being part of the council is whether these buildings, whatever has been implemented, are they monitoring them? Are they able to sustain the savings what they are being certified for? This is what the major challenge again we have faced. So to overcome these challenges, we have come up with the performance monitoring, and also we have started validity period for the certification projects. So for the validation of the projects right now, we are putting up to 3 years. So every year, 3 years, the projects come back, they validate on whatever the savings they have claimed earlier, whether they're able to sustain them. If they are facing any issue, then IGBC intervene there and we try to recommend them what are the things why they are failing in achieving that savings, how they can monitor better and maintain their systems better. If I have to take the one of the example, especially one of the important thing where people fail is on rainwater harvesting, because everywhere even in the local bylaws they mandate rainwater harvesting system should be there. So during design stage we see the construction stage it is implemented, but if we go after 3 years and 4 years, if they are not properly maintained, the stormwater, the rainwater drains and the ponds are just filled up with litter. There will be no of usage. So when there is only the proper maintenance and monitoring is done on whatever the measures you are implementing, you will be having sustained savings. So when they come for the recertification after 3 years, so they validate again all these measures, the green measures which they have implemented. So if there are any issues, they do the refurbishing, and always the savings can be get into that. So we are doing that every 3 years now. We are certifying and we are doing the revalidation, and we are regularly doing the performance monitoring. In fact, to encourage the projects, we have introduced from past 3 years performance challenge awards also. So every year we are doing this national award, where if the projects are showing that I'm maintaining well, I'm monitoring well, and I'm making the sustained savings, we are recognizing them and giving the exclusive awards also to them. So we are doing different kind of activities so that we can maintain this.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Because that's one new initiative which has been
Yes,
going
sir.
on rounds, and that's actually very important because a lot of those buildings, the earlier examples of buildings like which are known to have got the certification, but beyond a year or two, they wouldn't have been really maintaining the infrastructure.
True, sir.
So that
True,
is
sir.
one key factor, and this can actually improve their standards also. They can furthermore apply more principles, and they can still get a better rating also, update themselves.
True, sir. Completely, I completely agree with you. See, yes, we had got that feedback from the market, and that's how we face this challenge. And later, we have developed the new system. And in fact, you can see, as you have rightly mentioned, they always can upgrade. So, first case study I have indicated was existing building. First, initially they got only the gold rating. Later, they have upgraded to platinum level. So that is always, it's like a continuous process for the projects where they can upgrade themselves. They continuously assess what they are doing.
No, what happened, ma'am? Because when we go for visits, as in like we recognize a building which has potentially earned a recognition with the certification. But
Yes, sir.
after 3 or 4 years, we see the same building in much more deteriorated condition, and probably these systems
True,
are not
true,
being taken into consideration.
true,
That's
sir.
the only
True,
concern.
sir. Yes, sir. Because our systems are, we are always trying to have voluntary system. It's not like mandate. It's like compulsory the projects has to do. It's finally we are trying to spread more and more awareness, and we are trying to uh, give that sensitization in the market and to the projects so that they implement them and monitor them, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope the students had a very enriching experience with respect to the sustainability is concerned. Over to Esther, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would request all of you to stay back for the valedictory session, and we will just have a small video and then we'll move to the valedictory session. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I welcome you all to this valedictory function of the IGBC inauguration of the institution membership for SRM Institute of Science and Technology. I thank you one and all for having stayed with us for the 2 days and having a very informative session on all the speakers who have been given to join us. I thank our Dean, Dr. P. Satish Kumar sir, for having instrumental in having these entire sessions organized and helping us to take every initiative that we want to go forward. Thank you so much, sir. I request you to address the gathering. Yes, sir. Kindly unmute. Thank you, sir.
Very good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, everybody here. Thanks to the Almighty. A special thanks to Professor Esther, Professor Yamini, Professor Gajendran, and Professor Harish, who made it possible. And nothing less than all the faculty members of SRM IST, the faculties and students of School of Architecture and Interior Design. A special thanks to Padma Shri, Sri and Raghavendran, Mr. Anand, Mr. Girish, and Agri Rekha, who has made a wonderful sessions and presentations throughout. And it's a remarkable, iconic one which we had today and yesterday. The agreement or the membership what we made with SRM IST and IGBC is something very remarkable. In spite of all the membership and associations we have with different organizations, this seems to be very good and iconic, which is closer to my heart. And along with that, the students chapter also, which takes it more forward. Because I strongly believe, the energy simulations and modeling, which takes up more of economical issues in terms of these green initiatives. The students and faculties could be trained. The certification after the training and the examination could be conducted, and case studies and the field visit could be made possible. And more of the awareness campaign programs could be organized, and campus recruitment, if they are sound in green concepts and sustainable aspects, which also made possible, and research and funded projects could be generated. Electives and postgraduate courses also could be conducted, and tie-ups and associations agreements could be made. And IGBC professionals has high demands in the industry, and ultimately it is a great business, I'm telling you, which is also a way of life. But all these things has been said by all these experts, but in a simple form, nothing is possible without this Panchaputas. And whatever is given to us by the Almighty and the Mother Earth, we have to give it back very safely to the next generation. That is what we are trying to do in the name so-called green or green business, whatever. So yearly we had it as USGBC. Now we have it as IGBC. And furthermore, we will make it more refined. For more instance, here we have an expert, Dr. Linus Martin, my good friend, and very good visionary also. He is the director of the Campus Life, who is the chief guest for this valedictory session today evening. He is the right person for which we have called him for today's program, for a simple reason. The 250 acres of this green campus has been under his control at Katangulathur as the director of Campus Life, and you can see a lot of initiatives been taken by him and his team, and other initiatives like Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, and the sustainable site, water efficiency, energy and atmosphere, materials and resources, and indoor environmental quality. A lot of innovations which has been tried. The reduce, recycle, reuse, the 3 R's, which has also been initiated, and rainwater harvesting, very well practiced in now places. The energy efficiency, which has been transformed into those hostels and campuses, whatnot. I think he's here, the right person is here. And all these experts who have spoken this for these 2 days of time, even though they have practiced it here, we can see or hear it from him. He has practiced in our own campus, and that is the reason why this fine gentleman has been invited here, and he is there in front of you. Thank you so much for being with us here today, sir. And all of my students and other college students and the faculties of SRMIS is here to witness this gathering. And thank you so much for the opportunity. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce Dr. M. Linus Martin, sir. He's a professor at automobile engineering, and he's also a very important person and has taken a lot of initiatives with regards to our campus life. He has a lot of publications to his credit, and his accomplishments, I would like to mention a very few, saying SRM Bosch Tech Certification Training Certification Center and the Automotive Skill Development Center has been set up by him. The SRM ISC Non-Ferrous Materials Technology Development Center, and he has also guided many special projects in hybrid redesigning of four-stroke auto rickshaw for better fuel efficiency, and also visited many countries, USA, UK, Netherlands, and South Africa, and undergone many training programs for academic and administrative setup, and also has been very instrumental and also a membership in many of the professional societies. So it is indeed a pleasure to have you here with us, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today.
So thank you. So thank you for inviting me. To what extent I'm going to fit for this slot as speaker for the valedictory function. To some extent, I can say I myself, I practice green initiatives at my house. When I started constructing a new house just behind SRM, I was having a special discussion with the builder. When he was of a particular opinion, I was of a different opinion. Then we started placing the windows and other things. Almost till around 6:30 to 7 o'clock, we need no lighting. That is how we have placed windows in small openings, natural airflow inside, all LED lighting, energy efficient fans. The previous speaker was talking about. I'm using all 5-star rated fans, which normally consume our conventional fans used to consume 60 to 90 watts. This consumes a 7 to 35 watt maximum. Then air conditioners are minimum 3-star to 5-star, all LED lighting, and of course solar backed power supply. So during 2016, there was a big cyclone. At that time, I realized that there was no power for around 12 days. So I bought the panels with the help of my son. We installed, and it is giving around 3 units per day. Almost during daytime, it takes care of the power requirements of my house. That is on one side. And coming to the campus, our campus, it is known for its lush green in nature. So when I joined way back during 1987 as an associate lecturer or rather assistant lecturer in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, we were having just a few plants or rather if you go to the old campus, you can see the banyan trees. Those trees were planted during that time as small saplings. Now you can see the size of those trees. Our chancellor is a very passionate person towards making the campus green. If he cuts one tree for cutting a building, he will plant at least 10 to 15. That is the concept. And particularly if you enter through the old campus, the sun will never fall on the floor, even during the peak summer. That is the plus point of that campus. And coming to the student chapter's inauguration, I really congratulate the efforts taken by the School of Architecture and Interior Design. All along, you have developed a tradition. Now it is entering into a new phase under the leadership of Dr. Satish. I could see that difference. As far as our campus is concerned, we God's grace or something like that. Ours is surrounded by lakes. And I was told by one of the nearby villages, Potteri stands for Pattiyeri in Tamil. That means 10 lakes. So if you just take an aerial view of this location, you can find lakes on all sides of SRM by nature. So that itself gives a very nice look. Now the lakeside road is getting ready. Government has permitted us to lay the road, and once if the borders are built, it will be like a small beach for this area. I used to tell my colleagues and friends, SRM is one institution having a beach, and that if it is developed with the proper lighting and other things, landscaping and other things, so that is going to be a very good plus point for the students and staff of the institution. So we are now installing solar power plants, solar panels almost around 900 and odd kilowatt we have installed. Our first target is 1 megawatt. We'll be reaching within the next 1 or 2 months. So almost all the hostel buildings are having solar water heating system. The hot water supplied to the rooms are coming from solar heaters. We are following the latest power efficient binary type of heating system, which is more efficient. There is a plan for organic herbal garden. So I am also one of the members of that panel. Agricultural department has developed a small garden at the backyard, like behind the dental college. So there is a plan to develop it into a full-fledged herbal garden inside the campus. For your information, I am maintaining a very nice roof garden at my house, around 80 to 100 plants, well maintained. So that is another big plan we are having. We have our in-house nursery. Most of the plants planted inside the campus. Apart from that, we are now organizing a lot of tree plantation campaigns outside, and almost all the plants are in-house plants. And along the lakeside, last year we planted palm trees where the seeds were sowed, and now almost all have germinated, and they are coming out as good, nice plants. So once if it is allowed to grow by nature, because it has to, undergo a lot of problems like human problems, cattle and other things. If it is growing next few years, it is going to be, once again, the lake bund is going to be full of nice palm trees. Almost the entire water requirement for our plants are coming from the waste treatment plants. We have 4 large capacity waste treatment plants installed inside the campus. We have a biogas plant installed last year for the hostel, and it is supplying gas to the kitchen. And we have a nice solar thermal water heating system, boiler system. As far as the Sanasi hostel is concerned, it elevates the temperature of water which enters into the boiler. We are saving around 3 big commercial cylinders of gas every day. So apart from that, we are on a massive drive for converting all our conventional lighting system to LED lighting, and almost around 40% we have achieved. And in the next 1 or 2 years, it will be a major task for us. Whatever air conditioners installed during last year and year before last year, we have migrated to minimum 3-star rating inside the campus. And another major initiative I have now proposed is almost all the fans are all conventional fans now. I am asking our people to go for star-rated fans. Whenever there is a replacement, we can go for star-rated fans. So students' participation and faculty participation is very, very important, because these are all initiatives which have to be taken collectively by all of us. It is not one man's show. It is a collective show. If all of us join together, I think we can make a wonderful world. As Dr. Satish told, it is not for us. It is for the future. It is our responsibility to preserve, protect, and hand it over to the next generation safely, so that they can hand it over to the next generation like that, so that this Mother Earth will sustain. We are talking about global warming. Most of those things are because of us. We are responsible for that. Whatever is going wrong is because of that. So a few days before, I was at Ooty. It was like sweating. And most of the houses have started installing fans. I was wondering. Then I asked a few of the people living in that area for the past 30 years. They are telling now it is almost like without fans, it is very difficult to sleep. Even this time, they are telling fans are very important. Previously, some 30 years before, I have gone there at least a few times. I have never seen fans. Now everyone is having fans, refrigerators, air conditioners in Ooty. So that is mainly because of us people. So it is our responsibility to protect, safeguard everything, and hand it over gently to the next generation. So energy cautiousness, energy efficiency on one side, we have to protect everything and hand it over safely to the people. So I thank once again the organizers of this session in the program. for giving me an opportunity to express a few of the initiatives which we are undertaking. And I seek all your support. Thank you very much for the golden opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Thank you.
I now request our own faculty member, Prashantini, to share a few words on the session.
A very good afternoon, everyone. And it gives me immense pleasure to be addressing this crowd right now. I would first like to give my heartfelt gratitude towards the speakers, our organizing committee members, and of course, our Dean of School of Architecture and Interior Design, Dr. Satish Kumar sir. Without you lot, I don't think this session could have been possible. And this is perhaps one of the most important segments of architecture now that we're going towards. It's as an architect with a background in energy efficiency and sustainability, I know exactly how important it is, how critical it is to teach our students at this very young age, our budding architects, to understand how to deal sensitively with their site, their surroundings, their climate, and to instill this feeling inside that they are responsible towards their surroundings. One thing I would like to stress upon is I know how vast and huge this field is. I know how daunting it could be for someone who is not quite aware of this particular segment to suddenly be told to make something very energy conscious, to make it sustainable. And to have our speakers to condense this large gamut of information into bite-sized pieces and condense them into this 2-day session is truly commendable. And SRM ISD has, and as did a lot of the faculty members here in our institute, we have tried and we have looked at and understand that our design cannot simply just address the aesthetic quality. It cannot simply just address the need for a certain space to be in a certain type or way. We should be able to actualize the feeling that what is happening in our current system and our current world right now, and be able to provide such sustainability concepts and energy efficiency in our buildings. So if we look at the past few years, SRM ISD has been looking at its design studios and combining climatology, combining performance evaluation to instill this segment in our students to be able to flawlessly be able to integrate our concepts into the practical world. And it's been extremely insightful to see all these, all our speakers come forth and share their experiences, their wisdom, to have a broad range of subjects that they had. They taught us everything through the case studies, which becomes extremely important because our students need to know, not just from the point of view of a written segment, but they need to know how to apply it and be able to produce actual results from it. And I think this 2-day session did exactly that. And it's been quite phenomenal, that and proud moment for this department to be associated with the industry. And I'm sure that this particular collaboration will be greatly benefited to not only the students, but also the faculty. And we'll be able to see the results in the next few years when our students graduate, and be able to use the skill and be able to practically apply this to the real world, so that we can actually provide a pristine environment and a pristine condition, so that we can all live a very healthy and happy lives. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Professor Prashantini. I would now request the student representatives having attended the sessions to share their views.
Good afternoon, and all present here. I'm Mohan Krishna from Photia, Bihar. I'd like to sincerely thank IGB. I'd also like to thank School of Architecture. Yeah, I'd also like to thank School of Architecture and Interior Design, SRM, for providing us with this platform. It was really an interesting session since yesterday, where we got to interact with many interesting speakers and we got to learn many new things. And it was more practical session. And this is just the beginning and a lot more to go. Thank you.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Snigdha Thakur, student representative of third year, and I'm really thankful for this opportunity and this highly informative session that we had in these 2 days. It really helped us all to understand the importance of green buildings, the challenges faced, and the case studies, the examples. They really helped us all to understand the concept of green buildings and eco-friendly designs even better. It will indeed help us to follow a comprehensive approach towards a design and keeping in mind the sustainability and environmental conservation. Thank you once again, Dean Sir, the organizers and the speakers for this wonderful session. We look forward for more interactive informative sessions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm James.
I am in. Okay, I am A. Muthuswamy of third year BIAC, student representative for IGBC. First, I'd like to thank our Honorable Dean Sir and all the faculties and organizers for making this IGBC Students Chapter happen. And these 2 days session, as a student, I felt it personally, it was very insightful. And when the speakers, when they gave the real life case studies, I felt it was really motivating. And we are really looking forward to collab with IGBC and work with them, not only as students, but also as architects of the near future. Thank you.
I am James from third year BIAC, a student representative. I thank you for this opportunity, and it's made us to develop more knowledge on the IGBC and what they do and what are the benefits about collaborating with them. And we are honored to hear from the speakers on the major key topics and concepts. We are sure that we are able to use this concept and information on our design works from now on or we have done it more. So thank you for this highly informative and useful sessions. We are hopeful for more and more informative sessions like this. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much. It was indeed an enlightened session, making us aware of how our very own traditional buildings back in 9th century hold most elements present in today's green building systems, and also made us understand that green is not just about the color, rather the 5 elements, that is earth, water, energy, air, and sky, that we have to sustain for a better future. It makes us understand easily and implement in our academic work and also when we start practicing. Once again, thank you so much for this opportunity, and let us all go green.
Thank you, dear students. It's really nice to hear that you all have been benefited. And even we as faculties have had a lot of eye-opening sessions and way forward to apply all the things that we have learned even in our academics and in the projects that we take forward. Thank you all for joining us. I now request Professor Gajendran to share the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, one and all. Yes, it's been a great journey for these 2 days. On the outset, I would like to thank our Chancellor, Vice Chancellor, Pro VC, Dean CET, and Dean SED, Dr. P. Satish Kumar Sir, for enabling us and help us obtain the student membership. And now we have a very good guiding team along with us. For the speakers, I would like to thank Padma Shri, C.N. Raghavendran Sir, Mr. M. Anand, Mr. M. Girish, Architect Sri Rekha Ma'am, for the wonderful session they give it. I would like to thank Vivek Venugopal, Executive Officer from IGBC, for getting in touch and coordinating all the events. I would like to thank the departmental representatives, Dr. Napoleon Sir, Dr. Cherladan Sir, Dr. Kanta D. Arunachalam Ma'am, Dr. Varshini Karthik Ma'am, for their participation and their contribution to the event. I would like to thank all the student representatives, Mohan Krishna, Vidya, Snigdha, James Joseph, Muthuswamy, and Afsa, for their participation. And finally, as for all the wonderful audience, thank you for your participation. And hopefully we'll have furthermore sessions enlightening us on much more principles of IGBC. And we are eagerly waiting to catch you all again soon. Thank you all.
And special thanks to Dr. Linus Martin, who has made it possible in this final session. All the best. Thank you all.
Yes, thanks, Linus Martin, sir, Dr. Linus Martin, sir. Really sorry.
I would also like to thank Raja Sir from Director Communications Office for always supporting us with the YouTube links and taking us live whenever we require. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you all for joining us.